Hello, INTPs. Welcome to today's broadcast. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing quite well. I've done a lot of soul searching recently, and I've realized that YouTube actually holds a lot of promise for my future for me. There are a lot of things that I want to like. I was thinking almost like, what is my dream job? And the dream job would actually be essentially what I'm doing on this YouTube channel, which is exploring ideas that inspire me and sharing them with people. That may include physical explorations, philosophical explorations, and spiritual, and also software. I guess is like software and those things. And what's also quite inspiring and interesting to me about that is just how awesomely low cost that is. A book is $10, and it could be the subject of a video, or it could change my life, things like that. That being said, there is a topic I want to talk about today, which is the unconscious mind, which is an idea that I've been thinking about a lot more ever since I've read the book by Jung, Man and His Symbols. Let me find that. I recommend reading it. It's the intention of this book was to for Jung to share his ideas to the non-psychologist crowd, and it was quite illuminating for me. The main thing I got from it is really him and his colleagues were all about studying the unconscious mind and this process of individuation. If you've ever watched Jordan Peterson is a big proponent of Jung, and I will link the video where he talks about how your interests as a person have a utility. How could it be in very Jordan Peterson fashion? He says, well, if you think about it, could it be any other way? He says something like that. And I've been thinking about that. Like, the utility of interest makes a lot of sense if you think about the fact that, let me lay out some guidelines here. Human beings are not complete yet. Human beings have something that they are developing into at all times. And I assert that if that is true, then that may be the psychological purpose of an interest, where the part that yearns to be real in you knows what it's going to be, and so it indicates it to you as the younger psyche that this holds your future. I'm reminded of there's a movie I love called Kung Fu Panda, and there's a scene here. Oogway ascends, that scene. I'm reminded of the message here. So Sifu. First of all, Oogway proposes the idea that there are no accidents. You think that you can control things, and Sifu says, look, there are things I can control. I can hit that peach, and I can tell it where it will be planted, right? Ah, yes, Sifu. But okay, so Sifu is making the statement that there is power in conscious control, And Uguay says, yes, that is also true. However, try as you might to make this seed grow into anything else, it will grow into a peach tree. Let's see if I can time this right. I see. There's another statement. There's another, Sifu makes an argument, and then Uguay says, "Only if you believe will the peach tree, or will the peach seed become what it is intended to be." What it is intended to be. That is the idea that I am pointing at here. What's fascinating to me about MBTI is the idea that each type is so dramatically different. And you can think of it almost like each type has made a decision about what is most important unconsciously. And there are some types that have made opposite decisions for each other, right? So for an INTP, the opposite decision of the INTP would be an ESFJ. And essentially what an INTP has done, an INTP has said, personal logic, my own theories, is more important than taking care, making sure other people are comfortable. And an ESFJ would look at me and say, "You're wrong. You are doing everything backwards. Making sure everyone is taken care of is more important than my own personal logic." That's the way that they see the world. Now, who is right? And after everything that I've studied, I see that no one is right. We each just have our perspective, and from our perspective, we create a beautiful thing. ESFJs are beautiful in their world, maybe as a caretaker or a nurse, and I'm beautiful in my world as a tinkerer and inventor and explorer. But in the moment and looking immediately through the eyes of an INTP, I would instantly say the ESFJ is wrong, and the ESFJ would respond similarly to me. But what I would say right now is neither of us are wrong. We are both right for our own lives. Related is that each of us will be drawn to certain things. We will find certain things meaningful, certain things important, certain things interesting, and neither of us are right. We both have our purposes, and I assert that very soon all of the population will understand that there is no right or wrong here. There is no right or wrong goal. There is no right or wrong responsibility. None of these are more important or less. What is at the meta level right is to allow the peach tree to allow the peach seed to grow into a peach tree, to allow the pine nut to grow into a pine tree, and so on. And this right here explains to me why I am so drawn to what I'm drawn to and what repels me, right? And every person has a different answer for what that is. I view this almost as a list of priorities and values. And so for me, I say, I don't like it's so unimportant to me what I think is right or wrong. And an ISFP or an INFP would say, then you're evil. They would be completely taken aback. However, it's simply because we haven't been taught just how diverse our perspectives can be. And to me, that's a huge value that MBTI can teach us. That someone can have the exact opposite values of me and they can still be right. What this stack means is that I will be attracted to deep logical things and ideas, and things that present a lot of open-ended exploration and open-ended possibility. So, for example, video game development is an idea, but like when we were young, like Legos, improvisation, improv comedy. Improv comedy is more of a sensing thing, so SE types would be more interested in that. But this world of exploring, I'll say exploring ideas is really what we're drawn to, and I will find them interesting. And I agree with Jordan Peterson myself when he says that your interests have a functional purpose. They call to you and they tell you who you are intended to become. And I make the assertion that the collective cultural attitude we currently have about what is a practical direction and what is a valued direction is outdated. It comes from a poorer and more survival-based world that we used to live in, and we no longer are there. I'm also reminded of how this can direct the way that we give each other advice. And if after I tell you this and you look around and you hear people's advice, I implore you, I ask you to look at a person's advice and think about what kind of type they might have been or they are to think that advice is right. Einstein has the famous quote, how does it go? Imagination, the quote about imagination. Imagination quote. Yes. This sounds almost like the personal development journey of an INTP. You can almost say it from an INTP lens. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. In other words, speaking as an INTP, NE is unlocks TI. TISI only knows what it knows, but with NE you can learn everything. Now, if you are a TE type, you hear this quote and you just don't understand why anyone cares what that is. A TE quote is something probably like, there's the quote by Eisenhower. Planning is everything. A plan is useless. Let's see how it actually goes. This, I wonder what type he is. I'm going to assert that I'm going to guess that he is ENTJ. But here's a TE style quote. Plans are nothing. Planning is everything. And you can hear just very deft, high ability to TE there, where very powerful TE because he doesn't live and die by his plans. He understands that his plans are just thoughts, and they are still important and useful. Plans are nothing. Planning is everything. I can almost see, and I'll talk about this some other time, I think a key stage in each type's journey is when they realize, people grow up thinking their hero function is going to save the world, and then there is a humbling stage. For me, it was in my 20s, where you realize that your hero function is just the way that you like to think, and it actually won't save the world, but it is very useful. C.S. Joseph and his colleagues, they call it going from hero function to warrior. And so that was a big key for me when I realized, my TI-SI is not going to be here for me to come up with the theory of everything and like solve all of our philosophical problems and we'll all agree and I will have discovered universal truth. No. Truth is only as useful as the question you ask and the assumptions that you start with. And from there, TI is very useful, but TI will not do that. TI will not save the world. That was a big realization for me. And it looks like Dwight Eisenhower here had also discovered that TE won't save the world. However, TE is my talent, and it is what I will use to maximize our chances for success. I said the topic today was the unconscious mind. However, there were many ideas that I was thinking about recently that I want to talk through. We'll see if I can go back to the unconscious mind. I think I'll just continue down this path of exploring how all the different types think and how what one type swears by, another type thinks is absolutely incorrect. I think another example of almost like a trope that demonstrates this is anime. Shonen anime, where, for example, in Naruto, forgive me for I don't watch too much anime, but I am aware of certain characters. In Naruto, there's Guy, right? From a certain limited perspective, you might say that ninjutsu is how you are the most powerful ninja, which is like, the techniques, right? But Guy couldn't do the ninjutsu. And so he went all in on taijutsu, which is physical feats, right? And he demonstrated that through physical feats, you can be among the best in the world. That's kind of like the ESTP. The ESTP is like, is there something wrong with me? I can't abstract think, but I can be forceful and I can act quickly. That's my talent. The other person that I'm thinking about in Naruto is Shikamaru, who I feel like Shikamaru is probably INTP, because what you know about him. Yep, INTP. What you know about him, what you know about this guy, is that he really doesn't want to do anything, and he's always just standing on the side, and he says, like, this is so annoying, right? But he makes up for that with excellent strategic planning. Just like a very smart mind who has thought of everything. In My Hero Academia, the headmaster of the school is also that mouse headmaster, My Hero Academia. I wonder what his MBTI would be. Let's find out together. His name is Nezu, apparently. Oh, not showing. Hold on. Yes. Sounds about right. ENTP, right? So I would actually love to do more research down that path to talk about how anime can tell us a very similar message actually that MBTI shows us, which is just because the most obvious way to be strong is shown and it seems like the only way. What shonen anime often shows us is, no, each person has their own little interest, their own little obsession, their own little niche, that if they just maximize that niche, they would be among the best in the world too. And well, I guess anime also tells a story about how some people will not be the best in the world, but they will fill their role. That's very interesting to me. So I actually ended up talking about two topics at the same time. One is, they're very related though. One is about the unconscious mind. And I feel very moved recently to go more towards the direction of making content and pursuing my interests just like as hard as I can. And I'm thinking about the idea of synchronicity that Jung talks about, which is very similar to the quote, which is like when you decide in a direction, then the world will show you that you're right, or the world will send you a sign that makes you understand that this is meaningful. So I went from unconscious mind, and then I talked about how unconscious, your interests, I assert right now that your interests are unconscious. And you cannot control them. And if you pursue them, you will realize why you were interested in the first place. But you won't be able to tell rationally, consciously why. And then I went on to talk about how the unconscious mind can be you can analogize yourself to a seed. When you're first born, you are a person full of potential. However, like the seed, there is a future you already contained within the seed that is simply looking for the right environment and nourishment to develop into what the potential it's supposed to be. And that is like the Kung Fu Panda clip where I am INTP, and try as someone might to turn me into an ISFJ, I will always become an INTP. But if I lean into my INTP, then I can become an amazing INTP. Just like Shikamaru doesn't have to be Guy. Shikamaru can focus on using his intellect to win battles, while Guy can focus on developing his body. So, I'm knitting together those ideas in very INTP NE style. I'm exploring many things that simply call out to me as interesting, and I'm already seeing the reason why. I'm more energized than ever, and I have visions about where I want to go in the future. And everything's very much falling into place. And I wanted to start talking about that to see if I can develop my TI theory around it so that I can see from that new perspective. That's what I had to say today. Let's see if there's anything else. I will say that thinking through it this way, I can now understand that when people state their opinion about something, they're probably not wrong. They're right from their perspective. And oftentimes, I believe the best thing to do is probably to let them do that, and I can do my thing. I think once we understand the perspective that, oh, I'm a peach seed and you are a grape seed. Once we understand that, then I no longer have to hold them to peach tree standards. And there will be unconscious callings from that person, in that person's life. And there will be unconscious callings in my life. And they do not have to coincide. That is the extent of my thoughts right now. We'll see where that takes us. Have a good day, my friends. See you next time.